I'm going to take a second to talk to you about underdogs.
Eagles fans everywhere, this is for
Yeah.
you.
Fly Eagles, fly Eagles on the team. Touchdown, touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a Bird Gang Nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man soft. Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randolph. Season here, really time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco. Thanks for tuning in.
What is going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and it is Philly the podcast. We are back. And yes, today we do have a very special guest. We got Reuben Frank joining us in a little bit. I'm gonna play that in a little bit. If you are a channel member, you got to see it live. You got to see it as it went up. So shout out to all the channel members. If you want to become a channel member, the link is in the description. I'm going back to giving out the interviews a little bit early for channel members. I know I've been slacking on that lately, but I promise I'm getting back to that. I'm very excited to have Reuben on, man. It was an awesome conversation, awesome interview. So like I said, we will get into that shortly. I wanted to talk a little bit about stuff that's been going on. Obviously, Jake Elliott won special teams player of the week. I was going to say of the year, but he should. Honestly, this man is the comeback player of the year. Now, I don't know if they'll ever give that award to a kicker, but if they do, Jake Elliott is in prime position. Last year, we were talking the worst about, and me included. Listen, he had his worst year in his career, right? It was a terrible year for Jake Elliott. This year, he has been money. He has been absolute money. So I'm very happy with Jake Elliott. Now on the downside of things, Davion Taylor did just get out of surgery. He looks like he's fine. It looks like it's going to be at least a 3-week process. They are talking about putting him on IR. So it is looking like something that we have to look at. Look, I am excited about having him back for a potential playoff run or playoff game. But it is going to be tough losing somebody like Davion Taylor. Our linebacking core has stepped up over the past couple weeks. Not saying by any stretch of imagination that they're, a top-tier linebacking group, but they've been good enough to help the other players shine. And when I talk about the other players, I'm mostly talking about this defensive line and our cornerbacks. They haven't had to have too much on their plate because the linebackers are doing their job. So losing somebody like Davion Taylor, I think, is a big shot in the gut. Look, we are also losing Jordan Howard this week. Jordan Howard's someone that I think, and me and Reuben talk about this a little bit in the interview, I think it's going to be tough to lose Jordan Howard, but I do think that we have people in place in order to, overcome those injuries. Now, yeah, shout out to everybody that's already in the YouTube. I don't know why my OBS is like always behind on YouTube comments now, so they're starting to come in now. Shout out to everybody. Well, shout out to, like I said, shout out to the channel members, because I already see some channel members in here already, so I know you guys already saw the interview, so I appreciate the love. But shout out to Jinx Wolf, Midwest Eagles fan. I almost said Mideast. Ref Taco in the building. What's going on? I haven't seen that name in a minute. Ryan Rowe, Drew Johnson, Richie MC says, so honored you got Rube. I might be speechless. Joey Fortress is going places. See what happens when you embrace hurt season. Man, I've been embracing Eagle season. That's where I am. I embrace Eagle season. But shout out to Richie. Jeremiah Butler in the building. What's going on? East Camden for life. What's going on? Who else we got in here? The Dirty Kenzo. What's going on, Murph? What's going on? So look, I'm excited about this interview. I'm excited about this game. I'm excited about this season. I really do feel like the Eagles are starting to finally get their act together, starting to realize who they are and what they need to do to be successful. So look, looking at this game, looking at this Giants game, I think a lot of people are looking at them and saying this should be an easy win, and I'm one of those people. I realistically think that the Eagles should be able to dominate this Giants offense, especially. I think the Giants offensive line is in shambles. They haven't gotten really any production. I know there's been injuries, but they haven't really gotten any production from these wide receivers or from really anybody. Even Saquon has not looked that good. So it's one of those things that if we can go out there and do what we're supposed to do, I think it's another game that we dominate. So I'm looking forward to it. I am definitely looking forward to it, but we're not going to waste too much time. I'm going to get right into the interview. Again, shout out to Reuben Frank, man. I can't say enough how much I appreciate him coming on the show and just chopping it up for a little while. This man is a legend. I mean, it is what it is. Maybe I throw that out a little bit too light, but I've talked to him, D Gun, and Dave Spadero, those three, and Fran Duffy, those four to me are like the legends doing what they're doing. So it was an absolute honor. So let's get right into it, man. Let's get right into it. What's going on, you guys? It's your boy Joe Castro, aka Philly Fresco, and this is Philly the podcast. And as you can see today, we have a very special guest. We got Reuben Frank, the man, the myth, the legend. How's it going, man? Thank you so much for your time today.
Oh, you got it. Going well.
All right, so yeah, we're gonna get right into it. I know you've been a busy man, so like I said, I really do appreciate you taking this time. But we're 11 games in. You know, we've been up and down as a team, right? The Eagles fans have been going through a lot of cardiac arrest, and for good things and bad things over this past season. But how are you feeling so far about these Eagles and where they stand?
Well, they're right about where I kind of figured they would be. I think the concerning thing early wasn't that they were losing to teams like the Chiefs and the Buccaneers and the Cowboys and the Raiders, but how they were losing. I mean, they were non-competitive games for large stretches of those games. So that's what was really concerning. But you could see during that whole process that Nick Sirianni was still getting through to them. They were buying in. They believed in him. They were playing hard, even though they weren't playing very well for most of those games. They were playing hard. And that's the one thing you look for when you're trying to figure out if a coach still – like you watch that Giants-Buccaneers game and you see a team that maybe the Giants coach doesn't really have complete buy-in. But you watch the Eagles when things were going bad – the effort was still there. And I think that's the one thing that when that's not there, that's when you really get concerned that maybe this isn't going to work out. But you could see guys getting better, and you could see, Jalen getting better. And I think the key thing was the coaches, there were no OTAs this year. So new coaching staff comes in. They don't really know their personnel. They don't know what they have. Only a couple of these guys were even here last year. So I think a lot of this growth has come from the coaches really getting a sense of what they have talent-wise and player-wise and figuring out how to use them. And it just takes a while and kind of figuring out what they do best, what they do well as coaches as well. I mean, Gannon's never been in this position, and obviously Nick hasn't either. So there's just a lot of growing pains, and they were ugly there. There were some definite moments where you wondered if this thing was going to get turned around, but I think they got back from Vegas, and that was a low point. They were 2-5. They got hammered out there, and it was their I guess fourth blowout loss in 5 weeks. And talking to the players that week, they were angry, they were motivated, they were determined, they were upbeat, and they said, everybody to a man was. We're going to get this turned around. And ever since then, they've looked like a different football team. They're 3-1, and the one loss was a last-second loss to the Chargers, who are a pretty good team. So I just think that it was just a matter of the whole thing kind of coming together as a team. You thought it would happen, but it's kind of crazy that it's happened almost. They've gone from one extreme to another. I mean, now they're blowing the other teams out. I mean, 3 wins over the last month have all been, double digits, and 2 of them on the road. And Saints and, Broncos are both winning teams, or they were when they played them. So I think at this point, it's really easy to be encouraged by what we're seeing.
Definitely.
Jalen is the key guy. I mean, he's gotten better and better, and still has some growing to do, but it's hard not to be really encouraged by what we're seeing.
Definitely. And you brought it up, we're going from extremes to, one extreme, not just the blowing out factor, but, from a passing first team, it seemed like, to a running team. From your perspective and your opinion, what do you think really sparked that? Because like you said, you could tell that the players felt they were upset, they were frustrated with their play and how things were turning out. And that kind of sparked, even more hunger from that offensive line, defensive line, whoever it may be. Big Play Slay, I feel like, has read every single tweet and has responded to it on the field. So it's beautiful to watch. But what do you think for the coaches kind of clicked and said, let's start pounding the rock as they have?
Yeah, I think, that phrase, necessity is the mother of invention. I don't know who said that first. I have to look that up, but I think that's really what it was. It wasn't working. I mean, throwing the ball 50 times a game, he kept trying to do it, and it was clear he didn't want to run the ball. And, and there were some changes on the O-line, so when they did try to run it, they weren't getting a lot of yards. I think maybe that first drive, was it the first drive against the Raiders when Miles had, like, before he got hurt, he started getting some big yards. And I think that was the moment where I think Nick realized after that Raiders game, I got to do something different. And
Definitely.
I got to start mixing it up. They ran a little bit against the Raiders. I think they had 130, which is a lot for them then. Now it sounds like not very much. But, and I think he just heard, Lane Johnson sitting there every day saying, I want to run block. I want to run the ball. And, one thing about Nick, he's very responsive to his players. He's got an open door. If a player says, we need to run the ball more, he'll listen. I just think he kind of realized that what he was doing was not only not smart as far as winning games and moving the ball and keeping defenses off balance, but it was hurting his quarterback, because you can't ask a young quarterback to have 70, I think it was 77% of the plays the first 6 weeks, 7, 8, 9, 10, 7 weeks were either Jalen passes or Jalen runs or Jalen sacks. So on 77, like 3/4 of the snaps, Jalen had to process and make a decision, make multiple decisions, and the play was on him. And that's too much for any quarterback, much less a young kid who had started a handful of games. So I think that the reality just hit him after that Vegas game that we got to do something different. And Miles was hurt, so Jordan Howard and Boston Scott, just kind of happened to be the beneficiary of it. And once they started, he was like, hey, this is fun. Let's just keep doing this. And they haven't stopped yet.
Yeah, and look, I think as fans and people that report on the team, we all kind of saw it from looking in. We were like, we need to run the ball. But I don't even think we could have expected it would go as good as it has. Like you said, we've seen not just a growth from this offense, but a huge maturation from our quarterback. So I wanted to ask you a little bit about Jalen Hurts over the past couple of weeks. While his workload has went down, which I think is not a knock on him, I feel like the opportunities to make plays he's had, he's utilized them. How have you seen Jalen Hurts so far, and how impressed are you with him right now?
Yeah, very, very impressed. A lot of things to be impressed by. Somebody tweeted to me and said, they're running the ball 50 times a game. How are we going to evaluate Jalen? You can evaluate him based on what he does when he's throwing. He's been accurate. He's made good decisions. He hasn't put the ball up for grabs. I think he's got one pick in the last 5 games, I believe, which is incredible. He's got the 13th lowest interception ratio in NFL history. People say he doesn't get enough credit for, like, last year, everyone talked about the turnovers, the fumbles, the interceptions. He's completely gotten rid of the fumble. I don't think he's lost a fumble this year. He's got 5 interceptions in 11 games. So he's really attacked those areas and gotten better. I think I think over the last month, he's seen the field better. He's using the whole field. And he's running at the right time. I think his judgment as far as when to run and when to throw it away and when to try to, spin it down the field, I think has gotten better each week, to where he's not really making mistakes now where you think he ran it, but he should have thrown it, or he had a guy open wide. Now, once in a while it's going to happen. Happens to everybody. Nobody's a finished product out there. But the one thing you want to see is growth. And as long as he's getting better each week, which he is, I'm totally fine with it. And he's not getting a lot of help either. And I think it's really been Goddard and Devontae are like his 2 guys, and somebody else needs to make some plays to help him out a little bit. And it probably goes both ways. I'm sure he's got to start looking for those guys too. But considering everything, I'm just really pleased with where he is. And I think people who don't like Jalen Hurts, or there's the whole, there's this whole group of people that are loyal to the previous quarterback who's with the Colts now, and they keep nitpicking these different things about him, and then like he solves that. He's splitting time with Miles, and then he hurts his neck and doesn't play again, and then winds up with the Dolphins, and he has 28 carries for 35 yards, and they cut him. He's averaging like a yard a carry. They cut him, He's out of the league. He can't get a job. The Eagles bring him in on the practice squad just so he can have somewhere to train and to work out. He finishes the year. He doesn't have a job. Nobody wants him. Nobody works him out. Nobody gives him an offer. The Eagles bring him back to training camp, and they tell him, look, you're not going to make the team, but this way you at least get some film, and maybe somebody will sign you. They cut him at the end of camp. Nobody signs him. I mean, it's unbelievable. They put him on the practice squad again. He doesn't get a sniff for 2 months. Miles gets hurt. Jordan Howard comes in, and he's been killing it for 4 games. It's really – I give that guy so much credit for he's in great shape. He's about 10 pounds lighter than he was, 12 pounds lighter than he was last year. He knew this offseason, this is my last chance. He's only 20. He just turned 27.
Yeah,
but running backs, man, they have a short shelf life, and he's kind of bucked the odds by playing at such a high level when he really hadn't played in 2 years. Before I think his first game back was the Lions game, I believe. So I'm so happy for him. He's a great guy, and they will miss him. But it's a position where they got great depth. There's a lot of teams that would love to have Miles, Boston Scott, and Kenny Gainwell. And Jason Huntley on the practice squad had a great training camp, so he's there too. So I think the next couple games, Giants and Jets, if he misses those, it's unfortunate, but you're going to win those games without Jordan Howard. But they're going to need him down the stretch.
Definitely. Yeah. Jordan Howard is an amazing story. It's beautiful to see. Now, switching over a little bit to the defense, another beautiful story that we've seen is the emergence of some linebackers. Now, I don't want to fall into the same kind of hole that I did last year, thinking that Alex Singleton was going to be a Pro Bowl and all pro type player just because of what we saw from Nate Gary. But, these guys have really looked good. Davion Taylor and TJ Edwards, I feel like, have really improved and showed us something, good from these linebackers, and I like to see it. So the question I have for you is, do you think these are 2 guys that the Eagles are going to be looking at to build around at that linebacking core? Or do you think it's still a position that they're going to be eyeing in the offseason?
Yeah, that's a great question. I really think it's going to depend. Davion, it's a shame he keeps getting hurt. I like the way he plays. He's just so athletic and quick and around the ball. And TJ, he's just come in since he replaced Singleton. He's just come in and he's just added such an element of physical play to the defense. I think my colleague Dave Zangaro was writing a piece about how Jordan Howard and TJ Edwards, neither one was really a factor the first half of the season. And they both came in and just added that physical play on opposite sides of the ball. And the Eagles really turned things around when TJ Edwards and Jordan Howard came in and started, thumping on both sides of the ball. And there's a real parallel there. I don't know. I still think they need to get better at linebacker. I like Davion's tools. The injuries concern me. I think TJ Edwards has gotten better each year. There's always going to be a place on my team for him, but I do think they need more. I think they need more playmaking. I think when, TJ and Alex Singleton, they're both undrafted. What was Davion? Was he a 3?
I think he was a 3rd, yeah.
I still feel like they need to get better there. But we'll see. If they go into next year with Davion and TJ and Alex, I think you can win with those guys. But can you be an elite defense with them? I'm not sure. Maybe. I need to see more. They haven't. Davion hasn't really played a whole lot.
Sure.
He's gotten better. I think. He's got to stay on the field though, because he missed the last month of last year. He was on IR. Then he had that calf throughout training camp, and now he's got a knee he's dealing with. So you got to be able to, stay out in the field. That's a big thing. And but yeah, we'll see. They're definitely beats the first 6-7 weeks when it was Eric Wilson and Alex. And Alex, to his credit, stayed ready. And when Davion got hurt Sunday, Alex came in and played well. He played pretty well against the Saints. So he's always going to give 100%. He's just, he's limited. And I think TJ's limited too, just not as much as Alex. So, it's better than running Nate Gary and Zach Brown out there. But
yeah, you're not lying. You are not lying.
To me, it's still a position where if you have an opportunity to get better, you take it.
Definitely, definitely. Now, I want to look forward quickly before I let you go to this game against the Giants. I want to ask you, both sides, really. How do you feel going into this game? You know, where our strengths are. And is there anyone or anything that kind of scares you about this Giants team? I know we've seen them just get demolished, so it might be hard to find flowers in that pile right there. But how are you feeling going into this game?
Yeah, I think the thing that concerns me the most is that they have more talent than they've shown. And, they fired Jason Garrett, their offensive coordinator, today, Tuesday. And I think when a team fires a guy and, there's always that bump, there's that like rejuvenation that the players feel, and that can manifest itself in better play for a while. I think eventually you come back. But I think like Galladay is a good player, and Kadarius Toney, and they got some weapons. If Saquon's healthy, I'm still not sure he's totally healthy. We know what he can do. So I think they have some weapons. And when their quarterback gets hot and gets protected, he can make some throws down the field. Their offensive line's terrible. They look like a team. They look to me like a team on Sunday. They just didn't want to be out there. So I think with this O-line, when you're out there with Lane, Dickerson, Kelsey, Driscoll right now, and Mulata, I flip-flop the tackles for you there. But when you're out there with this O-line, you can just kind of take a team's will away. And when that team is wavering with their will anyway, like I think the Giants are, you jump up on top of them 10-0 in the first quarter, 17-3. The game's over. They're just gonna say it's not our day. So they do have some weapons, and they do need Slay out there. Certainly, they don't have a lot of depth at outside corner, so they need a healthy Darius Slay. But there's really running games don't go into slumps, and quarterbacks can go into slumps and receivers can drop balls. But if you can run the ball, you can run the ball. And against this team, like if you could do it against the Saints, you get 242 against the Saints. I don't see any reason to believe that the Giants, who don't have a good run defense to begin with, can stop you. So I think the Eagles have an advantage on both lines. I think that's where they'll win this game. And maybe the Giants will keep it close for a half, but I'll be real surprised if, when all is said and done, the Eagles haven't won this game by 10, 12, 13 points.
I would love to. I know all of Philadelphia would love to see that. I was going to say me like I'm the only one. I know we would all love to see that. I'm hoping to see Jordan Mailata putting his location as IHOP again. That was a beautiful sight. I want to see more pancakes. So I'm definitely excited for this game. But Reuben, I appreciate your time so much. Like I said off the air, I am such a big fan of yours, as I know a lot of our subscribers are. But if for those who don't know you, please do let them know who you are and where they can find your work.
I'm Reuben Frank. I work for NBC Sports Philadelphia.com. I've been covering the Eagles since 1987. So how many years is that? 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 34 years. So this is how I spend my life, covering the Eagles. I go back to Buddy's second year. At Rube NBCS on Twitter, and would love to have you follow me. And enjoyed it. Let's do it again.
Definitely. Let's do it again, man. Like I said, I appreciate it so much. Can't say it enough, but I do appreciate everybody that tuned in. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. Definitely check out Reuben. If you haven't checked out Reuben Frank, I don't know where you've been getting your information from, but it's not the right source. I promise you. But
one other thing.
Of course.
We have time. I just want to wish everybody happy Thanksgiving, and make sure you take a few moments to think about what's really important and the things that you really have to be thankful for, because it's always important to do that once in a while.
Definitely. And I appreciate that. That was real words right there. We all needed that. So happy Thanksgiving, man. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly, and we are out of here. Peace. That is my man's right there, Reuben Frank from NBC Sports Philadelphia. It was an absolute honor to have him on this channel. Now I'm gonna talk about some of these comments that y'all was saying in the chat, man, because I see y'all. I definitely see y'all. I appreciate that, I drip. Shout out to my guy Philly Take with RB. RB is the GOAT. RB is the GOAT, man. That's my guy. We're going to get him on this channel very soon because that's my boy. We haven't been able to talk in a while. But either way, I've been seeing some of y'all talking about Reagor, man. I'm going to tell y'all right now, and maybe this is a terrible take. I was very critical of Jalen Hurts, but I was never out on Jalen Hurts, right? Jalen Reagor, I don't know, man. I'm going to give him another year because I don't really see I don't see any trade value in him unless you can get something pretty good for him, like maybe a third, maybe a fourth, I guess. Maybe I would bite that bullet, but like I don't really see the trade value there. So as a number 3, I don't think he's that bad. I know a lot of injuries have happened with him this year. A lot of little injuries that kind of just linger. So I don't know. Hopefully, Nick Sirianni can figure out a way to start incorporating him in this offense. I feel like once he started doing those, end arounds, he started getting them on screens. We saw, Jalen Reagor doing a little bit better, but it's kind of disheartening that he's not playing well on special teams, especially when that's kind of what we drafted you. I don't want to say that's what we drafted you for, but that was your mark. That was your thing. That was your, area of expertise, if you wanted to say. He was a very explosive punt returner, and we saw that once last year. We haven't seen it since. So I guess we'll see what happens. Niners got the tiebreaker over us also. Look, as long as we win the games we need to win, we're fine. As long as we win the games we need to win, we are fine. That's all I have my mindset on. Shout out to everybody still in the chat, man. We still got 45 people in here. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. We are so close to 3K. RB says this man deserves 100K subscribers, best interviewer in the game. I appreciate that, RB. Listen, I'll take 3K for now. Get me to 3K, y'all. Get me to 3K. We almost there. If we win versus the Giants twice, we probably the only team that is rebuilding and went to the playoffs. That's a big fact. There's a lot to be happy about with this team, man. Even if, look, depending on how the games look, obviously you don't want to say even if we lose out, but even if we don't make the playoffs, you're looking at this offensive line and I'm going to talk about just me, right? You look at this offensive line and I think that it's very, very, there's hope there, right? There's a lot of young, great players on this offensive line. You look at Landon Dickerson, Jack Driscoll, Jordan Mailata. You go on and on. You need a center probably next year, but other than that, I think that I don't want to say it's easy to find a center, but it's doable. You can definitely find a good center in this league, and who knows, maybe Nate Herbig slides back into that role. You look at these wide receivers, Devontae Smith. I think Quez Watkins is very underutilized. We'll see what happens with Reagor. I'm sure we'll be able to pick up another guy in the draft, or maybe I'm leaning towards getting a veteran. I think that's what you need to do. Defensively, you have a lot of young cornerbacks. We'll see what happens there, if any of them become anything, but you're going to have Darius Slay most likely next year. Maybe Steven Nelson has earned another contract. In my opinion, he might have maybe like a mid-tier type deal. I think that he's worth that, depending on how good you think this team can be next year. You're going to need good players if you want to make a run next year. So there's a lot to look at and be excited about. Yoda Black says, you called me dumb for comparing Jalen's first 11 games. Now everybody talks about the run game with young QBs. So what you say about Reagor? Listen, I'm not saying you were dumb. I wasn't saying you were dumb. I still think it's an unnecessary comparison. I'll stick to this forever. I'm not going to ever look at Jalen and be like, well, if you look at his stats and you compare them to, I really don't care. I'm looking at Jalen Hurts versus Jalen Hurts. That's who he's got to be better than every week. That's why I said that the stats were dumb. But Jalen Reagor, I just don't know, man. Jalen Reagor, I'm giving him one more year because I just don't see the value in letting go of him. And I think as a number 3, it's not that big of a, I don't think he's that bad that he can't be a number 3 on our team, but I just need to see him be a little bit more consistent in the plays that he's getting, and I just don't see him making plays. So it is what it is. Hurts has similar or maybe same type of stats as Lamar in his first 15. We'll see what happens. Is this offense going to build around Jalen Hurts? Like it seems like they are right now trying to work around Jalen Hurts, but will they do it to the extent that Lamar Jackson had? They literally changed that whole offense for Lamar Jackson. I think that we're a little bit in a better position than Lamar Jackson was coming out of college, going to the Ravens. I don't think the Ravens were necessarily as ready to be a run team as we are right now. So I think that they can definitely play to his strengths and become a great team. I said this before. I said this literally like right after the Detroit Lions game. I said that this can be an elite offense if we just ran the ball. And everybody was like, yo, all right, bro, let's not get crazy. Let's not get crazy, Joe. You guys beat the Lions and you're going crazy. No, I saw the writing on the wall. This is the type of team that we built going into this year. Last year, I felt we could have been a very good running team. This year, even more so. So I felt that we could be a very good to elite offense if we just ran the ball. You're seeing Devontae Smith's numbers go up. I think he's had 3 touchdowns in the last 4 games. So, you see everybody playing better, more physical that we get. That's all I'm saying. So I definitely think since the Detroit Lions game, and you include that game, obviously, I think that we've been one of the best offenses in the league. I really do feel that. I really do feel like we've been one of the most explosive offenses in the league. We're putting up damn near 30 points a game right now. I mean, and we're running over teams, and we're doing it to very good. You could, if it was just the Detroit Lions, obviously I'd be geeking right now, right? But you look at the Saints, you look at the Denver Broncos. We put up numbers on really good defenses. They might not have had the offenses that they usually have. They might not have had their quarterback in there, but guess what? Their quarterback doesn't play defensive line. Their quarterback doesn't play linebacker. So, I mean, I really do feel like this is this can continue to be an elite offense if they just continue to build around the run. Get wide receivers that get open quick, because that's the thing that Quez too, but Devontae Smith is very good at. He's going to beat you off of the line. It makes zero sense to try and press the man because he's going to beat you off the line. We need wide receivers like that. Obviously, Dallas Goedert has been very good, a security blanket. We all look at that one drop, and obviously you don't want to see that. But outside of that, he's been very, very consistent. So, look, I'm hyped. Jeremiah Butler says, I want Godwin. I would geek if we got Godwin. First of all, y'all know I'm a Penn State fan. So, but Godwin's a beast. He's going to want money. But imagine that. Devontae Smith and Chris Godwin on the other side, that would be ew. Rager route running isn't good, looks lazy, and routes are so predictable. I agree. Shout out to Jeff Stoutland, the O-line guru. Yeah, he's one of the best coaches we've had, period. I was going to say in a long time, but period. He's one of the best coaches we've had ever. Pie choice tomorrow. Pumpkin pie, always. Come on now. I'm going to start my day with a pumpkin spice latte. You know what I'm saying? Nah, they got that pumpkin cold brew cream thing at Dunkin' Donuts. I'm getting that. And then we're going to have some pumpkin pie. I can't wait for tomorrow. I cannot wait for tomorrow. My girl sent me the whole list of what they're all cooking. I'm telling you, man, I'm going to go crazy. If we can't get a top tier veteran, just bring Aguilar back. That's interesting. That's an interesting take. I mean, I wouldn't be upset about that. Realistically, I mean, if he comes back and he's going to be our third guy, I wouldn't be upset about that. Devontae Smith is I don't know. I'm not comparing him to a pie, man. I'm not trying to get clipped. I'm not trying to get a clip. His first TD versus Dallas last year almost called back because he didn't cross the plane. He should have been aggressive and crossed the goal line. Rager's just, there's way more that you look at and you say, he's not doing well. Then you look at and say, wow, this is really good. As a first round pick, you just gotta be more consistent. Same position as the Ravens. Lamar took over for Flacco. Post Super Bowl about the same, but Hurts passing and overall play is better than Lamar's. I don't know if I agree with that. I mean, it is what it is. I really don't. It doesn't really matter. I don't know why we grasp straws to try and say, well, he's better in the first 11 games than that guy. It feels good, cool, but that doesn't matter. That was my whole argument. It just doesn't matter. What matters is what he's doing for this team right now. You know what I'm saying? The Lamar Jackson didn't have some of the players that, the Eagles have right now. I can't name one of their wide receivers from his rookie year. His offensive line wasn't near what our offensive line is. But you can say that Jalen Hurts has way worse coaching than they do. So, I mean, there's give and take. There's two sides to every coin. So it's hard to really just put up stats and say this is a perfect comparison. It's cool to look at, but it really doesn't matter. We never scored 30 last season. 29 was our highest. And now look at us. So what does arm talent really mean? I mean, arm talent still is a hold on. That was my argument with all the arm talent Carson had. We couldn't break 30 points last year. Now with Jalen, we've broke 34 times. It's so much deeper than you guys. Like that's the one thing. I love you guys and I love the back and forth that we have, but I feel like it's so much deeper than you guys make it. You guys just take it, face value and say this is what it is. There's still a development that needs to happen with Jalen Hurts, right? If our running game start, and shout out to Reuben Frank, what he said is very true. Running games don't slump. If you can run the ball, you can run the ball. But what if something does happen and we need him to be a passer? I don't think he's there yet. Lamar Jackson has done that a couple times, has been the passer to win games. And I'm not sitting here hating on Hurts. I'm just trying to tell you guys, hold your horses. Let's stop calling him a GOAT. Like, I feel like everybody's trying to make these comparisons to be like, oh, he's going to be the MVP one day. Like, we don't know that. We don't know what Jalen Hurts is gonna become. I like where the arrow is pointing with Jalen Hurts. And let's just stay there. Let's not make crazy comparisons. It's not necessary. Pumpkin over sweet potato, definitely pumpkin over sweet potato. I've never really liked sweet potato pie. I'm not gonna lie to you. I don't really like, what's those little marshmallow things that they make? Those yams, candy. I don't really like that. I don't like that. They be putting like marshmallows in it. Like, I'm good, bro. I don't want marshmallows on. Maybe that's just me. I've had some, you know what I'm saying? I've had some weird stuff on. I don't like cranberries. I don't like cranberry very much. Like cranberry sauce or anything like that. I think it's a waste of time. What's your opinion on apple pie? Top three. I'll give it top three. Have the Lions winning tomorrow. Matt Nagy fired. At least he gets a full meal before his execution. Bro, if they lose to Matt Nagy, they were, my boy's a big, what's it called? My boy's a huge Chicago Bulls fan, and they were chanting fire Nagy. They were chanting fire Nagy at the Bulls game as the Bulls were getting blown out, might I add. You wanted Gardner. I didn't want Gardner. All right, I didn't say let's put Gardner in. I said if we were going to continue the type of offense we were playing, you might as well put Gardner in because it wasn't suiting Jalen Hurts. And if we were going to suck, I wanted to see if it was just the coach, if it was just the player. Like, let's be real. Up until that point, you guys are realizing that Jalen Hurts is getting better because he was worse. Right? So me saying that he wasn't playing well was not hating. That was the truth. And now you guys saying that he's playing better kind of makes my point. He wasn't playing that well. Now that the offense has changed kind of proves my point that offense wasn't for him. So, I mean, it's like I said, there's two sides to every coin. The game is going to remind me of Beanie Siegel beating Jadakiss. We will blow them. Beanie Siegel ain't beat Jadakiss. What you talking about, bro? Jadakiss rapped on that disco beat. Right? He rapped on that disco beat. So I don't know, man. Or Cisco, he said he was going to rap. He raps on a disco beat and Beanie Siegel is going to rap on a Cisco beat. I don't know. Kiss kind of went hard. I know Siegel is Philly, right? Isn't he from Philly? But I don't know. So Kiss kind of went in on him. Cool. Was trying to compare the Eagles' weapons to a variety of Thanksgiving pies. But I silenced the chatter. I don't know how I would even do that. Do you think Gannon will blitz Jones like he did Simon? I don't know how to say his name. Trevor Siemian. We have to write his name different because I read things phonetically. But anyways, his name is Trevor Siemian. Yes. I think they will. I mean, if you look at the trend that we have right now, right? If you look at the trend on defense, it looks like we love to blitz bad quarterbacks, and I think Daniel Jones is a bad quarterback. So if I'm Jonathan Gannon, I definitely am. He has MVP numbers right now. I think he's projected to have like 21 touchdowns. That's not really MVP numbers. I mean, look, you see, this is what I'm saying. I'm not one of those fans that like to say I don't even want to say unrealistic because that sounds kind of rude. But like, I'm not one of those fans to say jump off ledges. I think that's the easiest way to say it. I'm not one of those fans that jumps off ledges. So when I see people start yelling MVP and stuff, I don't know, man. I don't know. how he reached for Rager. I can't blame Rager for where he was drafted at. He should have been drafted later. Even if he was drafted in the second round, I'd be upset with his production right now. I mean, J-Jaw has more yards than him in this year, I believe. Bring me Dean, the linebacker in the draft. Finally get a linebacker. I agree 100%. I agree 100%, V-Rivals. Sweet potatoes are the illest. I like sweet potatoes. Like, I like sweet potato fries and stuff like that, and sweet potatoes themselves. But I don't think that you should have like a potato pie. I don't like shepherd pie. You know what I'm saying? I don't know where our chats always go so left. So left. I would get Jefferson at 21st, then Rager on the. Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 2020 though. Hindsight is 2020. Patience. Hurts getting tutored by the pass. Best to be a great passer. Bro, Hurts is the next RG3, except he will become a beast. I don't think that's really a great comparison. I don't think that's a great comparison. Hurts is still a work in progress. In my opinion, he is headed in the right direction at the moment. I hope it continues. Facts. That's the perfect way to say it. That's the perfect way to say it, William. That is exactly how I feel. I feel like he's getting way better. He's a work in progress, and as he grows, it'll be interesting to see how his talent grows with him and what he will be able to do in the next coming years. And like I said, I do believe he earned next year at the very least. At the very least. I wanted to chant Fire Howie during the Eagles game and during Sixers game. I don't know if that man's never going, man. I love how much the Eagles have adapted throughout the season. Big facts. Big facts. I mean, this is a totally different. We talked about it with Reuben, man. Reuben said it perfectly. We're going from one extreme to the other, and it's working. It's definitely working. So, Jadakiss killed that man. Yeah, he did. Kiss definitely won that one. Hurts is our franchise quarterback. Deal with it. Y'all act like I'm mad. Y'all act like I'm mad if he does well. Serious chat. Who takes up snaps at linebacker now that Taylor's on IR? I'm assuming that it's going to be Alex Singleton taking over most of the work, right? Jannard Avery, I think, is still on this team. Did he get hurt or something? Like, what happened to him, actually? Now that I'm thinking about it. Did he get cut? Am I missing something? What happened to Jannard Avery? They did pick up Christian Ellis again, the guy that was on the practice squad like 3 times. I don't think he'll see any snaps, but I'm assuming you bring on another DB. Maybe you activate like a Tay Gowan or what's Holmes' name that we just picked up from the Denver Broncos. I forget his name already, but maybe you bring one of those guys up and you start running a little bit more 5 DBs. Maybe you run a little bit more nickel. It'll be interesting, but I'm going to assume Alex Singleton takes up a lot of that time. And if Alex Singleton's in there, I'm saying blitz, blitz, blitz. Bad QB equals wins for the Eagles. Yeah, usually Hurts has a lot of work to do throwing the football. The Eagles are not 100% sold on him yet. Yeah, we'll see. Sean Bradley possibly. I think he's hurt as well. I believe he got hurt as well. Don't quote me on that, but I believe he got hurt as well. Howie undervalues the linebacker position. We should have just paid TJ for a 2-year contract at least. Yeah, I agree. You don't like shepherd's pie with that. There's like 1 or 2 people that have made me shepherd's pie, and I was like, all right, this is kind of busting. But for the most part, nah, I really don't. I'm not really into it. Singleton will be taking snaps. Facts. Hindsight, my butt. I said Hurts was legit the night after he was drafted. Don't hop on the train later. Anyways. Jannard Avery was utilized during 5-man pass rush or goal line situations. Yeah, so I'm thinking maybe Jannard Avery becomes another pass rusher. Maybe they try to do with Davion Taylor what they were doing with Alex Singleton and kind of move Jannard Avery to that Alex Singleton position where he was just kind of rushing. Kerry Vincent Jr. There we go. Singleton is fast. He could get to the QB, but he cannot tackle. He can tackle. He's just not. He's a liability in the run game, and he's a liability-ish in the pass game. I think he holds his own a little bit more in the pass game lately, which is weird because last year he was way better in the run game. But, I mean, he's just become a liability. He's not aggressive as he used to be, and it hurts us in the run game. So we'll see what happens. He did, but I think they said he was going to play through it. Well, then maybe Sean Bradley gets some time. Sean Bradley's impressed me when he has played. Crazy prediction. Ryan Kerrigan 1 sack and 1 forced fumble this week. I mean, look, Ryan Kerrigan. I think it was the play. I want to say, did it result in a interception? No, I don't think it did. But I know that he almost had a sack. He almost had a sack, and he got it off. But I want to say it was a incomplete. but it was almost an interception by Anthony Harris. I don't know if I'm mixing that up with the Avonte Maddox play. But either way, I know he almost had a play. He almost had a play last week. Do you see anyone that moves the meter for you in this year's draft at the linebacker and defensive line position? There's a couple guys on the D-line. I keep hearing that Thibodeau guy. There's a couple different, like the Alabama linebacker. I think his name's Harris. Correct me if I'm wrong, y'all. But there's a couple guys. I haven't really dived too deep into the draft yet. A couple of people have actually reached out to me and asked me about this already. So I'm thinking about maybe diving into that and giving you a better answer pretty soon. But right now, you know, there's a couple names out there. I think that we need a defensive lineman, maybe even more than a linebacker right now. Not that we don't get a linebacker, but I think if you have a top pick, I would rather get the best defensive lineman available and then get a linebacker maybe with another one of your first round picks or even in the second round, depending on what you want to do. But defensive line is a very, very important spot for me right now. Just because I don't really see a future in that spot. Like, we have Javon Hargrave, who I think is a very good player. You know, is Barnett somebody you're going to re-sign and put your chips in? Is Josh Sweat really somebody you think you can build a defensive line around? Milton Williams has been right? You know, so I get nervous with that. Sharif Miller, 6'4", out of PSU. Imagine what could have been. Thoughts on Franklin 10-year deal? Ugh. I knew that, I knew Franklin was going to get a new deal. I didn't think he was going to get a 10-year deal, man. Like, I don't know, man. It's going to be hard for me to watch Penn State until they start figuring something out because we undervalue the quarterback position. We always pick the wrong quarterback. I'm sorry to say that, but it is. I'm not going to go too deep in PSU. But we picked up Sharif Miller, and we did nothing with Sharif Miller. So, Devin Lloyd, I'm gonna look him up. I hope we can get LB or inside linebacker at least with our second first round pick. It's a good long stretch. Yeah, I mean, look, we need a linebacker. We need at least one playmaking linebacker. If you as an organization want to build upon TJ Edwards and Davion Taylor, that's fine. But you need one guy that can just be that guy, be that monster in the middle. Or, I don't know what they want to do. Is TJ Edwards your guy on the outside? Is TJ Edwards your middle linebacker? Is Davion Taylor your middle? There's so many different things you can do. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. We got 51 people in here. Be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. You know what I'm saying? We are so close to 3K. So help me get there, man. I would really appreciate it. Shout out to my guy, Touchdown with Doug Smith, man. What's going on, brother? How you doing? Christian Harris and Kyle Hamilton, I want the most. We're in a position that we might, depending on what we do with our pick, what we do with the rest of our season, we might have 2, maybe 3 top 15, 20 picks. So, hey, it's, who knows? Maybe you move up and you go get the best defensive player available. Maybe you move back and just get a whole bunch of players. Who knows? The Seahawks had a solid linebacker lineup when they won the bowl. They had a whole defense. That defense was ridiculous. Devin Lloyd, yeah, that would make sense. Yeah, the Seahawks had a whole defense they were working with. So, and I don't think we're that far off. I don't know how much longer Slay is going to be part of the team. And like I said, I don't know if Steven Nelson is going to get re-signed. But if you have those guys playing at the level that they are next year, you have a very good chance of making a nice little run. To be honest with you, like, our defense is not that bad. If you can get some linebackers, our defense has shown the capability of stopping teams. So, he says, I feel like Patrick Johnson can be a very solid defensive end for us. Yeah, I think Patrick, and they're trying to make Patrick more of a like linebacker / DN, like more of a 3-4 type pass rusher. So we'll see what happens. He hasn't gotten much opportunity, so we'll see what happens. What's going on, Kenzo? What's going on? Need tall linebacker, 6'3 plus. How we always drafting small players. So that's a fact. That's a fact. I mean, because how tall is TJ Edwards? TJ Edwards is kind of small too. Don't forget to like the video. Likes are a free way to support and push this awesome content to the masses. Yes, sir. Let them know. Let them know. Hit that like button. Hit that like button and subscribe. And hit that little dingy bell thing on the side. I don't even know what it's called. Notification bell. There we go. For how much fans wanted him and hyped him up, I think Steven Nelson is very underwhelming. I think Steven Nelson has played very well. I mean, if you think Steven Nelson's playing poorly, I would hate to hear how you felt about our last couple number 2 cornerbacks or even number 1s. Like, you know, I mean, if Slay wasn't here, I think Steven Nelson would be looked at as one of the better cornerbacks we've had in a long time. Do you think Slay is a Pro Bowler this year? Definitely. I think that Slay Slay's got a vote in Defensive Player of the Year. I mean, the man got 3 touchdowns. I don't think he's let up 100 yards in a game yet. I think the most he's given up was against the Chargers, and I think it was like 80-something yards. So, like, I mean, he's been going crazy. I know his completion percentage is like around 65, but the completion percentage is kind of rough to read because if you look at it, you're looking at his completion percentage, and you're looking at some of these games where he's only given up 1 target and he's gotten 1 catch. So that's 100%. So it's kind of hard to read. It's a little skewed, but it is what it is. Howie is the king of arts and crafts. He loves to draft project players. That's a fact. What's good, Joe? God bless, brother. Happy Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving to you too, man. Happy Thanksgiving to everybody in the chat. Happy holidays to everybody in the chat. And all the younger guys. I know all the younger people in here in school and stuff. I know you guys got the week off from school, so don't go too crazy. You know what I'm saying? Slay is top 3. I agree. Behind Diggs, J.C. Jackson probably in a tad above Ramsey. I mean, Diggs is starting to fall off a little bit if we being 100% honest. Diggs was going crazy with those interceptions, but now I feel like he's getting a little bit exposed. But I think Micah Parsons, he might mess around and get some votes for Defensive Player of the Year. Micah Parsons been going crazy. People love to criticize Howie for his bad picks, but never give props for the picks that do pan out. I could agree with that. I say move Singleton to middle linebacker and try to sign Hassan Riddick or Anthony Barr. If you sign somebody else to be a starter, I don't think Singleton starts. I don't think Singleton's better than TJ Edwards or Davion Taylor right now, in my opinion. Hey, be careful. My cousin works for Eagles organization, and he said Howie don't choose the players, coaches do. So Rager draft was Peterson. Just saying. Maybe. I mean, that's the opposite of what we've been hearing, but maybe. Who knows? No Eagles are allowed to go to the Pro Bowl because we will be in the Super Bowl. Talk to him, Richie. I like that. Talk to him. Hell yeah, we're going to be in that Super Bowl. Look, I think that we have every opportunity to make a run right now, and it's all on us. It's all on us. You should see Diggs' film. He had interceptions but gave up many yards or big plays. People say he's a double-edged sword. He is. He kind of reminds me of Asante Samuels back in the day. Asante Samuels, he would give up big plays because he always went for the interception. So, look, I mean, Diggs is good. Don't get me wrong. Diggs is a ball hawk, and he's had a good season so far. But, those interceptions kind of, we had Brandon Brooks. Brandon Boykins. Brandon Boykins had like 8 interceptions for us one year and just bounced the next. So, it is what it is. And he didn't really do anything anywhere else. So, interceptions are cool, but, it's not necessarily always the best way to read what a quarterback's going to be. So, we'll see what happens, man. I didn't see any coaches in that war room in this past draft. I don't know about that. Well, this was COVID, so there wasn't really I don't know. I have to look back because wasn't this past draft when Howie was in there chilling with, you're right. There was a lot of scouts and there was Howie because I'm trying to think back of that video. We are rebuilding and finding our identity, but we are on pace to be in the playoffs. It's a beautiful feeling. But listen, man, I'm about to get out of here, man. I appreciate everybody in here. And again, one more time, shout out to Reuben Frank for coming on here and just chopping it up with us. That was an absolute honor. Look, if you guys enjoyed this interview, if you enjoyed the live stream, be sure to hit that like, hit that subscribe. I am so close to 3,000. I think we're like $130 away right now. So if you guys could hit that subscribe, tell your friend to tell a friend. We are out here. But other than that, y'all know what it is, man. It is Fly Eagles Fly. We are out here.
Everywhere. This is for you.
Fly Eagles flying on the team. Touchdown. Time to get Jalen this ring. You don't really want to start a thing. This a bird gang nation, baby. It's a Philly thing. Hater, and you looking like you type trash. I'm just here calling on Philly the podcast. And we can call a man dog or watch Miles score off the handoff. Rest of the division, your man saw Jackson like Sean, hunting like Randall. Season here, early time to do them in. Your boy Philly Fresco, thanks for tuning in.